Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for May the 13th of 2020. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams, and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest gaming news you need to know from around the industry. Hosted on YouTube and podcast services around the world 5 days a week, it is your one-stop shop for the hottest gaming news you need to know. So hey, if you enjoy the show and you're new here, hit that subscribe button and keep coming back for more. But today was yet another huge day of gaming news. Of course, we are beginning to get into the swing of Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, which comprises tons of announcements over the course of the next roughly 4 months. And today, we got a glimpse as to what the future holds because Unreal Engine 5 has been announced and teased. And man, does it look good. Epic Games' Unreal is already one of the most widely used game engines on the planet, utilized by game developers, advertisers, and filmmakers alike. Fortnite wouldn't be Fortnite without Unreal, nor would Epic be worth $15 billion. Indeed, successive versions of Unreal Engines have defined their respective gaming eras. UE3 dominated the PS3 and 360 era, UE4 drives the current PS4 Xbox One generation, while Unreal 4 has been leveraged in recent blockbusters like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Final Fantasy VII Remake. The engine is now nearly 6 years old. During a demo on Tuesday, Engadget got a glimpse of its successor, the nearly photorealistic Unreal Engine 5, running on PlayStation 5. The two biggest new features in UE5 are the engine's Nanite and Lumen systems, which the author saw in real action in real time in Lumen in the Land of Nanite walkthrough below. Nanite generates virtualized micropolygon geometry according to a recent Epic press release. That means film quality source art comprising hundreds of millions or billions of polygons can be imported directly into Unreal Engine, anything from ZBrush sculpts to photogrammetry scans to CAD data, the release continued. Nanite frees developers from having to worry about polygon count and levels of detail. It enables you to author all of the content in the game at its full movie quality level of resolution, Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney told Engadget, and then rely on the game engine to scale it down so it runs in real time on every device. We are rendering content that was sourced from billions of source polygons into a representation on screen that is indistinguishable from reality. That's the neat principle here, he continued. Once you break triangles down to the size of the pixel, you can't really achieve any more detail by rendering more of them because you've already achieved all the detail your screen is capable of displaying and your eyes are capable of seeing. So, we have hit this magical threshold where this is all the detail that can exist until you get a higher resolution monitor, until 8K or 16K comes along. Lumen, on the other hand, is a fully dynamic global illumination solution that immediately reacts to scene and light changes per the release. It can calculate the lighting dynamics of a scene regardless of whether it's at millimeter or kilometer scale and adjust, again in real time, to changes in the environment, such as turning on a flashlight or due to the movement of the sun. The aim here is to get to a starting point with the first version of Unreal Engine 5, which enables us to build a next-generation platform for completely seamless, continuous worlds of unlimited scale, Sweeney said. Nanite is key to achieving the geometry detail there, Lumen is key to being able to imagine the lighting and these huge open environments. Currently, the primary limiting factor for the gaming industry is not one of hardware performance, but rather budgets, both of time and money. A title's development budget dictates how many people can work on the game and for how long. UE5 is designed to make it possible for small teams to create this level of content, Sweeney said. One of the key secrets to making this happen was using the whole Quixel Megascans library, which we have made available for free to our Unreal Engine developers, and we are investing heavily in growing over time. Unreal Engine 5 will be first available to preview in early 2021, with full access expected by the end of that year. Fortnite will migrate into the new engine at some point between those two dates, and we'll talk more about that in just a moment. Of course, Fortnite has grown in popularity since its 2017 release and has become essentially the driving force behind the Epic brand, really, and of course it is one of the shining examples of the scalability of the Unreal Engine. But this is massive, and I think that this is a piece of news that got the traction it deserved, but the core gaming audience, your generic Call of Duty, Madden player, might not necessarily understand the significance of Unreal Engine 5, and I want to make it very clear, this is going to be a driving force for the games we are going to be getting over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. And a friend of mine pointed out another factor. I cannot wait to see what other companies come up with. The first engine that comes to mind is Frostbite. What is Electronic Arts going to have to show to compete with Unreal Engine? Because both of these have been neck and neck in terms of the quality that they are able to produce and the tools they give to developers. So I'm incredibly excited to see what comes of this. Now, I do want to make it very clear that there was a bit of a controversy going on Twitter between Jeff Keighley and an author at IGN that wrote an article talking about how we should temper our expectations for the next generation. And I want to back up that author at IGN because this, my friends, is a technical demo. This is utilizing the PlayStation 5 to showcase what is possible, but other development studios that are outside of the team that literally built the engine from scratch, they're going to have a hard time really using this engine and maximizing its potential right off the bat. In fact, I would say most of the games we are going to be getting this fall are going to be comparable to the versions that are going to be releasing on the current generation of hardware. You can probably give it about 2 or 3 years before you really start seeing stuff that is mind-blowingly incredible as compared to the current generation of consoles that we have now. Again, that's just my 2 cents. I hope to be blown away, and I hope that optimization efforts have been made to really increase the impressiveness of these launch titles. And don't get me wrong, they will be impressive, but this Unreal Engine 5 teaser is certainly something to get excited about. So if you do want to check it out, there's a full 4K trailer over on YouTube, and it looks phenomenal. Cannot wait to see what an Uncharted game looks like if it's going to be following in the footsteps of Unreal Engine. Cannot wait to see what a Tomb Raider might look like with the power of the PlayStation 5 and, of course, the Xbox Series X behind it. But speaking of Fortnite, it will be coming to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X as a launch game. And yes, it is going to be ported to Unreal Engine 5. The popular BR game will be among the first titles released with Epic's new Unreal Engine 5 and announced on Wednesday. Fortnite is currently built with Unreal Engine 4, but will be migrated to UE5 in mid-2021. Epic also announced its intention to share Fortnite's online suite with all developers via a multi-platform SDK, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Of course, we talked more about Unreal Engine 5 just now, but Fortnite has over 350 million registered players, and in April, players spent over 3.2 billion hours in the game. This is something that is a no-brainer. Fortnite is a game that I think will continue to grow and evolve over the next decade. I really don't think that it's going anywhere anytime soon because of its popularity, and of course it is a free-to-play game that is incredibly accessible. I've said this before on the podcast, and I'll always bring it back up. If you simply have a launch day PlayStation 4 and you work a job and you come home and you want to relax, you can boot up Fortnite. It runs fine. It's a fun game to play for about an hour or so, or maybe more depending on how much you're into it, and it definitely meets the requirements. It's a fine little game, and so I don't think it's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. And again, it is a driving force over there behind the scenes at Epic. So hey, if you were worried that Fortnite was going away whenever the PlayStation 5 and Series X launch, you have nothing to be concerned about. But moving on, Epic Online Services launches, and it's giving other games access to Fortnite-style crossplay and more. Epic Online Services is now available, giving developers free access to the same kinds of tools used to support Epic Games' massive Fortnite player base. The new suite, which went live on Wednesday, enables a unified gameplay experience across multiple platforms, including Switch, PlayStation, PC, and Xbox. It gives developers and their communities ready access to features like crossplay, cross-progression, unified matchmaking, lobbies, and more. Support for Android and iOS platforms will be added soon. Quote, at Epic, we believe in open, integrated platforms and in the future of gaming being a highly social and connected experience, said Chris Dill, General Manager of Online Services at Epic Games, in a news release. Through Epic Online Services, we strive to help build a user-friendly ecosystem for both developers and players, where creators can benefit regardless of how they choose to build and publish their games, and where players can play games with their friends and enjoy the same quality experience regardless of the hardware they own. First announced in December 2018, Epic Online Services could be a paradigm shift for modern video gaming. The system stands apart from other online services provided by major platform holders like Sony and Microsoft, while integrating information from all of them. This means players could have access to a unified friends list and use that list to launch cross-platform play sessions in multiplayer games just like they can in Fortnite. Epic Online Services also supports cross-platform lobbies and peer-to-peer network connectivity. Additionally, Epic Online Services includes access to cloud-safe functionality with an eye towards enabling platform migration. Theoretically, players could take their achievements and unlocks from one game console to another without needing to start over from scratch. The same functionality can also be applied to items purchased in-game. Not every feature of Epic Online Services will be available in all games that choose to use the system. Epic said developers are free to pick and choose from many different features when developing games. Additional quality of life features such as voice chat are absent from Wednesday's announcement, but Epic previously said to expect these and other features in 2019. So it looks like they're running a bit late on that, but still, this is a very big piece of news that I think is going to be driving the industry forward. If you think about the experience of playing online in 2020, it's vastly different as compared to what we saw in roughly 2010. If you think back 10 years ago, you had a sharp divide between PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo and PC. And as time has gone on, cross-platform play and cross-compatibility, cross-saves, cross-game migration, this is all pretty standard. And that's something that I think is breaking new ground, and we often take advantage of the fact that that has been done. That's something that is now the norm in today's day and age, and that's very impressive. But Epic Online Services, if it is adopted widely, could change the game, literally, for how we play games going into the next generation. And I think the next generation is going to be, unequivocally, the first generation where you have a complete communication I suppose, coherency. You have a teamwork, a camaraderie between the competitors. You have Nintendo, PlayStation, and Sony all shaking hands, working together. Although that competition still exists, they are much more open to being gamer-friendly, for lack of a better term. And that, my friends, is the good way to be. But hey, it looks like Epic Online Services is, of course, going to be coming and available for many, many developers around the world. Moving on, PlayStation 4 shipments top 110 million units. The console has shipped some 1.5 million units during the company's fourth fiscal quarter ending on March 31st, 2020, down 42% year over year as it approaches the end of its life cycle. PS4 has shipped 108 million units as of December 31st, 2019, with more than 106 million units sold through to its consumers. Sony sold 59.6 million PS4 software units during the fourth quarter, up from 54.7 million units during the same period a year earlier. Digital accounted for 66% of total software sales during the fourth quarter and 51% of all game sales during the financial year, up from 37% in fiscal year 2018. PlayStation Plus subscribers now stand at 41.5 million, up from 38.8 million reported in January. Fiscal year 2019 Game and Network Services Division revenues declined 14% year over year due to an increase in PS4 hardware and software sales, partially offset by an increase in PlayStation Plus sales. Full year operating income for the division fell 23%, primarily due to a decline in software sales and the negative impact of foreign exchange rates, partially offset by an increase in PlayStation Plus sales and cost reductions. Sony has also commented on the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on its games business. Quote, although there has been a slight impact on production of PS4 hardware due to issues in the component supply chain, demand in the short term is being addressed with current inventory and sales are trending well, it said. Sales of game software that is downloaded from the network, as well as PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now subscriber numbers have significantly increased. Sony recently announced new release dates for flagship PS4 exclusives The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, with Naughty Dog's game coming on June 19th, followed by Sucker Punches on July the 17th. So, the big question on everyone's mind, will this actually ever surpass the PlayStation 2 lifetime sales? And it ultimately depends. I tweeted about this earlier, but essentially, the PlayStation 2, if I remember correctly, topped out at roughly 158 million units sold. Let me check that. PS2 lifetime sales. I want to make sure that I get these figures correct. Yes, the PS2 sold over 158 million units as of the end of its life. And I think that's something that is very significant. And so whenever you look at the PlayStation 4, it's currently sitting at 110, and the new console isn't out yet. So if rumors are to be true, and the PlayStation 4 gets a significant price cut ahead of the PlayStation 5, you could be seeing something that rivals the PlayStation 2 5 years down the line whenever production on the PlayStation 4 does actually begin to wind down. It ultimately depends on how long developers support this piece of hardware. On top of that, if the PlayStation 5 is delayed, which many people forget is still an option that's on the table, you could be seeing the PlayStation 4 continue to have yet another holiday season, and it will inevitably sell more because of the nature of the holidays. So, the PlayStation 4 continues to dominate, and for a good reason. It's a solid little piece of hardware. So hey, if you do want to dive into the PlayStation ecosystem, it's not too late, and especially if you want to wait a bit on the PlayStation 5, I think the PlayStation 4 has a huge back catalog that's totally worth playing. It's also worth mentioning this is the first time in history that digital game sales actually surpass those of physical game sales, showing an increase in digital purchases, which I think is partially reflective of the current state of affairs with the coronavirus, but it does show that more and more people are willing to download stuff from the PlayStation Network. And you could download the Mafia series because it's getting a trilogy re-release. And it looks like Mafia 2 is coming next week, with Mafia 1 coming in August. So, let's start from the beginning. 2K's trilogy of Mafia games are getting a re-release via a package called, fittingly, Mafia Trilogy. Today's brief teaser did not tell us much other than the trilogy's new platforms, PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Stadia, and to expect more details next week on Tuesday, May 19th. But it fits with Mafia 2's recent appearance on ratings boards around the world, suggesting it was set for an imminent re-release on consoles, and after 2 years of silence, 2K's Twitter account did tweet 3 tweets that do reflect exactly what we would expect all 3 of the games that are going to be coming. While we should have been waiting until next week to hear more of 2K's Mafia Trilogy plans, it looks like they might have leaked a bit early. A lavish-looking remake of the first Mafia game is going to be coming soon. It's going to be launching on the 27th of August, and Mafia 3 developer Hangar 13 is its developer. Quote, Part 1 of the Mafia crime saga, 1930s Lost Haven, Illinois, remade from the ground up, rise through the ranks of the Mafia during the Prohibition era of organized crime. Its description reads, after a run-in with the mob, cab driver Tommy Angelo is thrust into a deadly underworld. Initially uneasy about falling in line with the Solari family, Tommy soon finds that the rewards are too big to ignore. And of course, the screenshots look phenomenal. I really want this game to get enhanced on the PlayStation 5, but man, does this game look good. And one final update, it looks like Mafia 2's new version will arrive as soon as next week. Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, whose upgrade looks less striking than that coming to Mafia 1 in August, has also just been revealed via the Microsoft Store listing. It will feature all DLC content and is described as a remaster than a remake. It is apparently set to launch next week on 19th of May. Of course, the trilogy will be coming later this year, supposedly alongside the launch of Mafia 1 remake. So, lots of Mafia news. Of course, I'm a big fan of Mafia 2. I used to go around whenever I was roughly 11 or 12 years old and collect all of the Playboy magazines laying around the beautiful city that you chose to explore. But it is basically Mafia Grand Theft Auto in a way, for those that aren't accustomed to this game. And it's something that I think really grows on you. If you are a fan of the New York City-style mobster, then by all means, Mafia 1 and 2 probably going to be a pretty big win for you. And then Mafia 3 is the most recent that came out on the PlayStation 4, and it does feature a Vietnam War setting where you play as an African-American mobster who is getting involved with the Italian families and essentially turning on... It's a very convoluted situation, but one that I'm excited to dive back into. Never did play Mafia 3, need to get back into it. However, GTA 5 is reportedly going free on the Epic Games Store. Now, this is supposedly coming tomorrow in an announcement, but let's go ahead and dive into it. Game Pressure reports that according to a reliable source, they have been informed that Rockstar's 2013 global hit will be totally free to download and play starting on Thursday, May the 14th on the Epic Games Store. Epic Games frequently runs free promotional offers like this, though they are typically smaller, lesser-known titles than something like GTA 5. But if the rumors are accurate, you will be able to scoop up a free copy of GTA 5 on the Epic Games Store very soon, with the offer running for a week until May 21st. Even better, the version of the game they're giving away will be the Premium Edition, which not only features access to GTA Online, but also a lot of additional in-game content. Epic Games themselves were hyping up their next free game back on May 7th, so it looks like they are gearing up for something even bigger than normal. Once you have added the game to your library, it will be there to keep forever, as is the case with all other free Epic Games Store offerings. So, if this is in fact true, GTA 5 is inevitably going to be one of the biggest games that is given away for free, and it remains a record breaker in the gaming industry. Really a huge game that has plenty of replay value. Of course, GTA Online still dominates today, and on the PC, GTA Roleplay is something that is very significant and popular on Twitch, so there is plenty of opportunity to get a lot of bang for your buck out of this one. But hey, if you do want to dive in and give it a look, by all means, you certainly can, and GTA 5 is going to be free on the Epic Games Store, if these rumors are to be believed, starting tomorrow, May the 14th, and I'll let you know if that is indeed the case. But that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed this one, drop me a like down below and let me know if any of these stories caught your eye. Are you excited about Unreal Engine 5? How do you feel about the PlayStation 5 gameplay that we saw, or at least the technical demo, if you will? And on top of that, what do you think about Fortnite coming to the next generation of consoles? Would love to see you in the comments section down below. But until tomorrow, you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.